Hi, I'm Amy Cameron, and I'm here at FutureNet World with Mohammad Shaheen from Elisa Polystar. Good to see you.
Hi, Amy. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. So there has been a lot of hype around AI and ML generally and in networks. So I wonder if you could start off by sharing with us an example of where Elisa Polystar has implemented AI and ML in network operations and what has been the tangible outcome that you've achieved with
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I think one of the most requested features in AI and ML lately that we have been seeing coming from our customers, from the operators,
Yeah,
is anomaly detection
yeah,
and root cause analysis and problem detection, prediction, these kind of things. And there is a big reason for this because traditionally, operators have been using BI tools and building dashboards, creating reports for their daily work,
yeah,
troubleshooting the network problems.
yeah,
And throughout the years, I mean, when networks are getting more complicated with an addition of 4G and then 5G and 5G SA, and now we're moving to the cloud, things are becoming complex, but they are really good at mastering this kind of process. But the catch here is that there's a lot of variability in this process. Like you can troubleshoot a problem in 5 minutes,
yeah,
or you can take hours or sometimes days. And this has a big impact, of course, on performance, network perception, customer experience, these kind of things. So what machine learning and AI is bringing to the table here is that to reduce that kind of variability, to make it more streamlined and able to reach to the root cause as fast as possible, and of course trying to overcome something like the availability of specific subject matter experts, because problems are also variable. Like
yeah,
you might take some time, 5 minutes to solve a problem or to detect a problem in roaming,
yeah,
but when you need an expert in 5G to solve a bigger problem, you might take more time. So anomaly detection brings out standardization on how to detect the problem
yeah,
first, and then it brings down the time to
yeah,
detect that problem into the bare minimum that is required to alert somebody to take an action. And root cause analysis kind of like draws the path on what needs to be done next, what is the next step to fix this issue.
yeah,
And with repetition, of course, because this is an iterative process, you can master that and implement it not just across the whole organization from an operational perspective, but you can also take that into other departments in the company where problems that not necessarily related to the network happens.
yeah,
Something happening in the customer care department or something happening in the billing or something like that
yeah,
would also help. So machine learning or anomaly detection with machine learning as a concept
yeah,
is very beneficial to the entire organization,
yeah,
not just network or service assurance.
yeah. And in terms of the outcomes that you are achieving, are you bringing sort of the things that are days down to hours, down to minutes? What's the threshold that you're aiming for?
Well, this is a very, like I said, iterative process,
Yeah.
but it's also very subjective,
Okay.
and it differs from one operator to the other.
Yeah.
And you might think about something as minimum as reducing 1 minute in the time of detecting a problem,
Yeah.
as a very small,
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yeah.
But when you look at the bigger context, like if you take 5 minutes to detect an issue,
Yeah.
and you save 1 minute, that's 20%,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you add up all of this across hundreds and maybe thousands of problems
Yeah.
that is automatically detected, and you save this 20 minutes. Now you can see the benefits
Yeah.
at the bigger scale.
Yeah.
And it is subjective, meaning that depending on the problem, we
Yeah.
can see something between 20%, maybe 15 to 20% reduction on the minimum level.
Yeah.
And in some cases, it could reach 50% or 60% reduction in the detection
Yeah.
of the problem and the deriving of root cause analysis for that.
Great, excellent. So that brings me to my next question, actually, is that it's actually really difficult, in this environment to build a business case
Yeah.
for buying these solutions or investing in these solutions as an operator. So, how do you approach that? How do you work with your partners, customers to help them get there?
Well, that's definitely a tough sell, especially for the stakeholders who control the budgets, because they always believe in strict return of investment calculations.
Yeah.
Keep the business going, business continuity,
Yeah.
and budget constraints and these kind of things. And I think this model has been used in operators for many years right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
It's a very linear model of calculating benefit versus
Yeah.
revenue, or sorry, spending versus benefits.
Yeah.
So I think the shift in that, or what we're trying to help our customers do in that domain, investing in a service assurance or an automated service assurance system,
Yeah.
needs to be focused on the outcomes, not the features.
Yeah.
So, you don't go out there and say, well, we can do X or we do something. No, we go out there and we say, you're going to gain this or that. And
Yeah.
to give you a bit of an example about that, if you look at something like protecting revenues.
Yeah.
Like if you are bound by certain SLAs
Yes.
with some of your customers,
Yes.
and you know that if you break that SLA, you will pay a fine or there will be some penalties,
Yeah.
then with this kind of systems, you can reduce the amount of times that you break those SLAs significantly,
Yeah.
especially if you have the right tools at the right time to
Yeah.
take those kind of decisions. So that's something that we help our customers with, is that to show them how much benefit they will get
Yeah.
into protecting an existing revenue.
Yeah.
So yes, we're not generating revenue, but we're protecting existing revenue. This is very important.
Yeah.
Customer experience, I cannot tell you how much important this is.
Yeah.
Because one call drop is just the reason for a customer to churn.
Yeah.
Or if they want to ask, access a specific service, we are here roaming in Dubai, so if I cannot access my roaming service, I might be mad. I might change my
Yeah.
my service provider. I mean, those little things. If
Yeah.
you have a system in place that will allow you to troubleshoot these and to mitigate customer experience related problems
Yeah.
in an adequate time, it will save a lot of money and
Yeah.
it will improve something like NPS or CSAT scores or something
Yeah.
like that. And we know that a lot of operators really, really pay attention to their NPS scores, and they're using, in general, the NPS
Yeah.
way of measuring customer experience
Yeah.
in multiple domains, not just the network assurance.
Yeah.
So we believe that this is also a very good point when we're trying to convince our customers that
Yeah.
this is a right investment.
Yeah.
And last but not least, of course, everybody has been talking today in FutureNet about operational efficiency.
Yeah.
And we've seen many panelists discuss this in multiple ways. And it goes, vertically and horizontally inside the operator, across multiple domains, across multiple departments, in
Yeah.
many processes.
Yeah.
Operational efficiency in service assurance is key
Yeah.
deliverable for that kind of software, because it will help you reduce something like truck rollouts, repetitive tasks,
Yeah.
save the time of skilled experts doing repetitive and mundane day-to-day tasks by automating these
Yeah.
with the tools, and then they pay attention to higher uh, difficulty problems, and basically using their skill set in the right place.
Yeah.
So I think these three, operational efficiency, customer experience, and protecting revenue, is one of the biggest selling points for
Yeah.
customer experience assurance with AI and ML, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. So you kind of have to make the argument in a few different ways.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is called FutureNet World. We're looking at the future.
Yes.
Let's take a step away and look at what's coming next. What, in your opinion, is going to be some of the most exciting things that we're going to see over the next 2 or 3
We
years?
are seeing a lot of exciting stuff happening every day, and just the rate of innovation and
Yeah.
what's happening in the AI scene is just amazing.
Yeah.
And in our field, I think one of the biggest improvements that probably we will see coming very soon is how smart those co-pilots and assistants are
Yeah.
going to be. And I want to quote something that I have listened to from a podcast to a gentleman called Jeff Dean. He's
Yeah.
the head of AI uh, uh, data science. I
Yeah.
think he also was responsible for the Google DeepMind project.
Okay.
I mean, really tech guy here, and he's very famous in the tech industry,
Yeah, yeah.
especially from Google. And he was talking about how those LLMs and Gen AI applications are going to evolve.
Yeah.
Because when they started to develop Google DeepMind, they started with something called with basically a contextual window
Yeah.
of a few thousand tokens. And just to make this clear, it's like reading a book, reading one page of a book,
Yeah.
and trying by reading that one page to predict what's going to happen in the book after
Yeah,
that one
yeah,
page.
yeah.
But then they have increased that contextual window to thousands, and then hundreds of thousands and millions of tokens, which basically means that you will be able to understand more
Yeah.
to be able to answer or to give answers better. And we can see that between the different models that's been coming up from all of the vendors out there,
Yeah.
that they're getting smarter.
Yeah.
And he was saying that we don't have enough compute power to just understand the whole knowledge that
Yeah.
we have on the internet in one shot.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine this, if you compare this to the telecom industry, imagine that you have a co-pilot
Yeah.
that is able to understand everything that's happening in the operator at one point in one shot.
Yeah.
I mean, how smart this is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, you really don't need, you might even use this to replace not just one team, like a whole organization,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
whole operational team is going to be handled by one big brain AI bot that's
Yeah.
sitting there and, you know, with little agents talking to each other and doing stuff. So maybe that's more like a science fiction thing.
Yeah.
But at least we see this coming, and it's coming very soon.
Yeah.
In very specific areas.
Yeah.
And probably we also want to be part of that revolution. Like, we really want to build a co-pilot in our systems
Yeah.
that is smart enough at least to handle the part related to the service assurance and
Yeah.
customer experience management in a way that will also achieve the targets that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Operational efficiency and customer experience, and of course reduce the time to reach to a solution for problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of improvements and a lot of smart bots and agents coming very soon in the telecom industry.
Yeah, well, I guess what the difference between where we were at, a year and a half ago, when generative AI was still new, versus now, is the huge leaps and bounds. We can imagine 2 years later there will be so much more.
And the whole democratization of access to that technology, the bar has been lowered so that everybody can actually access this now and build applications on top of it. And everybody's looking for the next 1 billion application to build on top of AI. Everybody's having that race. And I think in telecom there is a big opportunity in this. We're slower as an industry from that angle, but I think we're going to see a lot of cool stuff happening.
Great.
Soon.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. It's been a pleasure to chat.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.